What are some lesser-known urban myths or legends? In a small town in North Carolina there's a legend of the local richest guy. They called him Cash Williams. Everyone in town has a Cash Williams story that their parents told them or they heard from a neighbor or something. Our variation goes like this: Cash Williams had so much money and was so integrated into the local economy that he lost track of what, exactly, he owned, or had a stake in. One day, Cash is driving in town and sees a beautiful old home. He decides he must have it. He talks to one of the neighbors, who tells him he doubts the owner would sell it. Cash names a ludicrous amount, the neighbor dismisses it out of hand, says the owner doesn't need the money. Cash became agitated. Who is it then that can just walk away from that kind of money? Who is so arrogant that they wouldn't hear this offer? He asks. The neighbor shrugs and says the owner is Cash Williams. North Carolina native, and somehow I've never heard that story, but it's so wholesome. The tall man, a tall dark evil spirit that gets Native American teenagers to hang themselves. It goes after the weak, depressed, and usually drunk, so it's easier to get them to do it. Goes around the Native American communities peeking in windows at night. The internet has a physical form. Almost physical, it's a spirit. If you'd ever watched the movie Ghost, you'd know that spirits can get real physical. When you think of what has to be going on in the community that invited this tale, this becomes so heartbreaking. In Canada, a lot of First Nations communities are dealing with suicide crises. It's not supernatural, just a seriously bad situation. I have a Native American co-worker who told me about this. That has to be terrifying as a kid, trying to sleep and having someone looking in your windows. He also mentioned a legend about a spirit that will appear to you in the form of someone that you know. It cannot talk, and if you look into its eyes you become permanently disfigured. If I remember correctly, he said there were people in the community who had been disfigured by this spirit. How would you even avoid something like that? I cannot remember, I'll have to ask him, but basically I think there may be circumstances in which you might expect one of those spirits to appear to you. Say if you have cheated, lied, or wronged someone. As a precaution you should not make eye contact with someone until you are sure it's not the spirit. If you determine it is the spirit, I don't know how you would get rid of it. Edit, I talked to him. This goes for any ghost. You do not have to have done something wrong for it to affect you. You just have to be careful about who/what you make eye contact with. I am not sure that there is a particular name for this phenomenon. Well, that sounds like a fun thing to worry about your whole life. I live in an old city, so there's other way juicier urban legends and ghost stories, but this one's my favorite because of how mundane it is. There's this story that if you drive through the park at night, a police officer will pull you over for speeding. He writes you a ticket and tells you to be more careful when driving. When you go to pay the ticket, there's no record of one being issued, and the officer who supposedly gave you the ticket has been dead for years. The ghost cop doesn't kill you or curse you after giving you the speeding ticket. He doesn't even look scary like a ghost, apparently. He just leaves. The ghost of Officer Mild Inconvenience haunts my local park. Tilde ooh spooky tilde. This one is my favorite. Legend has it that Bear Lake, Utah, is so deep that they don't know exactly how deep it is. And that deep, underground water channels connect it to Loch Ness. Yes, that Loch Ness. You can find people to this day who swear that they've seen Nessie or a monster like that there. That goddamn Loch Ness monster again. I don't even have his damn tree fiddy. The only reason I had lunch today was because the McDonald's I work at had free crew meals this week, otherwise I would have gone from about 9:30 to past 8 o'clock without eating much more than a bowl of Fruit Loops. I have nothing in my wallet but a Tim Hortons card, my driver's permit, a miniature version of my diploma, my student ID card from high school, 4 arcade tokens, an A&W free root beer token, and a coupon for a mini blizzard at 2 certain Dairy Queen locations. And even though I put in my first full week of work, which happened to end on the franchise's payday, I don't get paid for another 2 weeks. Loch Ness monster ain't getting shit. Now let me tell you about the Crisco Kid. This qualifies as an urban legend because I've looked for news story but haven't found anything despite hearing the story from several different people. Up in Rigby, Idaho, there was this guy who would coat himself in Crisco and climb down into the basement level of outhouses. He did this because he wanted to see your pooper. Anyways, he was finally caught and arrested, and apparently it is the funniest thing watching a couple police officers trying to arrest someone without touching him because he was naked and coated in poop. Edit, I have seen the article about the guy in Colorado and a bunch of other places, but the Crisco Kid was definitely in Idaho. Pittsburgh has the Green Man, except this is less of an urban legend and more of a tale of a very unfortunate man who earned himself a very bad reputation due to something out of his control. The Green Man's real name is Raymond Robinson, and when he was young an electrical accident severely disfigured his face to the point that he barely even had one. He liked to take walks in a certain tunnel, I forget the name of it, and the green light inside it made him appear to glow green. People would see him and thinking he was some sort of ghost or ghastly being, fled in terror, and it is said to this day that his spirit still hangs around that tunnel. Philadelphia also has a Green Man, known to show up at sporting events on acid. Nova Scotia, Canada, has the Green Bastard. He's actually from parts unknown, but he apparently haunts a trailer park in Nova Scotia and surrounds himself with fucking kitties. They say he has a fondness for liquor and whores. He didn't have a bad reputation. Part of the legend is that he was quiet and shy but by no means malevolent. I've read up on the Green Man and everyone says he had a pretty good reputation, no? Some people would even stop by to see him routinely to buy him beer and cigarettes and shoot the shit. There's a pic of him. I stated in other threads that my old teacher's father knew him. Got teased and bullied by local high schoolers, but his neighbors and community liked him. He liked to drink beer and talk. And no, he grew up in Beaver Falls. He wasn't a Pittsburgher. I live in Maryland and Goatman was a popular urban legend when I was a kid. Basically a guy with the head of a goat that ran around in the woods. Specifically near a bridge called Crybaby Bridge in Bowie, Maryland, I believe. Not sure if that's just a Maryland thing, but I recently saw it in the book Weird Maryland. Crybaby Bridge was named that due to a woman dropping her baby off of the bridge because she couldn't take care of it. They say if you go on the bridge at night and are really quiet you can hear a baby crying. Edit, spelling. I had a feeling both of these were localized and found all over. It's cool to hear all of the different versions. Our local version of Goatman, sake name just different region, is a trapper who got caught in one of his traps and had to cut off his own lower legs to survive. We then dragged himself to a nearby ranch where he killed a goat and attached its legs to his own and then went feral. Ohio, USA here. Up the road from me, maybe 5 minutes by car, is a road called Wisner Road. It's infamous for a legend called the Melon Heads. As the story goes, an old doctor lived at the end of the street and took in mentally ill children, and injected their heads with water as an experiment. Naturally, one day they went crazy and killed him, and now they hide in the woods and eat people who drive down that road at night. I think Michigan also has a version of this one. That there is a Russian trapped in the bunker behind my house. My dad and a friend of his got tired of kinds ringing the doorbell asking if they can see the bunker. They told them no, it's dangerous, there is an old Russian trapped in there. My dad's friend wrapped himself in a sheepskin and sprinkled red paint all over him. Once the kids asked again, my dad gave in and his friend hid in the bunker. When they went in, my dad's friend started to yell and chased them around town. They never revealed it. Some of the, now grown-up, kids still believe there is somebody living in the bunker. What do you use the bunker for? Is the bunker part of the urban legend? It's got no real use, it's been there since World War II. I went through it but there's nothing interesting in it. Little did you know there's a hidden switch that reveals to the keys to the wholesome ghost bus. In South Carolina, we have our share of sightings of ghosts supposedly from the Revolutionary War. One is not far from where I live, where a patriot was killed while on patrol and can occasionally be seen continuing his patrol at night. There is similar legend in Charleston where the apparition of a redcoat without a head can be seen walking around at night looking for his head. Supposedly, he was guarding a plantation whose owner was loyal to the British, but his daughter was a spy for the Americans. When her father was away, she invited the American soldiers over to report what she found out. There was only one redcoat standing guard, and his head was cut off when they arrived. The Shanghai Tunnels of Portland, Oregon. From the mid-19th century to about the early 1940s, the Shanghai Tunnels were utilized for illegal activities including human trafficking. Over this period of time, many people perished. The tunnels can be toured now, but many who have visited the tunnels have heard voices talking, shouting, screaming, and making other similar noises. The Watchman of Fort Stevens State Park. A ghost soldier haunts the grounds of Fort Stevens at nighttime by patrolling the area while holding a flashlight. Many people who have claimed to have encountered the soldier have claimed that when the soldier is approached, the soldier vanishes. Pendleton's inside job. In 1880, Wells Fargo employee H.P. Page was en route to Portland in a stagecoach with a large sum of money. Along route, Page made a quick stop so he could take a nap, or so he said to a grand jury. Even though Page was acquitted, the prosecution believed he was behind a heist in which a shipment of gold was removed from the stagecoach when it was en route to Portland. However, the stagecoach never made a stop en route to Portland. Page was deemed a liar and moved away from Oregon. He was never heard from again, but many people in Oregon believe that Page buried the gold to retrieve it later. Maybe Page wanted to get rich, perhaps? Lots of stuff in Guyanese folklore. Baku, a small creature that is released upon the opening of old bottles, similar to a genie. When awakened, he hunts you down and throws stones at your windows. In the middle of the night. That's it. He lives off bananas and milk, and legend has it that if he is satisfied, he will answer any question you ask. Fun fact, in many rivers near Guyanese villages there have a large number of bottles found discarded at the bottom. It turns out lots of the villagers threw out the bottles out of fear of these things. Moongazer, an extremely tall humanoid that only comes out at night. When he comes out, he goes into the middle of the forest and stares at the moon. Until dawn, when he disappears. That's it. He may also kill small children. These guys are especially creepy in Guyana, considering there are many tall trees around, and children often see a moongazer hiding among them. Old Higgu, this is monster that, by day, disguises herself as an old lady and lives in your village. By night, she turns into a freaking ball of fire and devours newborn babies. According to legend, she was defeated by a group of children who set a trap on a newborn baby. They pour a gigantic handful of rice under the baby. When the old Higgu flies in, she is forced to count the grains of rice for some unknown reason. If she loses count, she has to start over. She loses count frequently and soon, the dawn arrives and all the children run in and beat her to death with broomsticks. Guyanese people are weird. Coming from one, BTW. Don't know how well this is known beside locally, but outside the Denver airport is a statue of a rearing horse. Many believe it is possessed. Its nickname is Lucifer. While it was being sculpted, the head fell off and killed the artist who created it. Also its eyes glow red. That's just the tip of the iceberg. The conspiracy theories are my favorite. You have to admit the paintings are pretty creepy. And also why? Like who the hell thinks, art for an airport? Some weird ass apocalyptic shit should be perfect. In case you missed it, Lucifer cosplay at last week's Comic Con. I saw someone do that last year. It's fantastic. In San Juan, Puerto Rico, there was a rock/stone that was shaped like a dog. It's deteriorated quite a bit since now. Story has it that it was once a dog whose owner went out to sea. So the doggy waited in his spot watching the boat go. And the doggy waited and waited and waited, never moving from his spot waiting for his owner to return. The doggy waited so long he turned into stone, still looking out to the sea waiting for his owner. Frown. This reminds me of that Futurama episode. The Michigan Dogman. A cryptozoological creature allegedly first reported in 1887 in Wexford County, Michigan. The creature is described as a 7-foot-tall, blue-eyed, or amber-eyed bipedal canine-like animal with the torso of a man and a fearsome howl that sounds like a human scream. According to legends, the Michigan Dogman appears in a 10-year cycle. Sightings have been reported in several locations throughout Michigan, primarily in the northwestern quadrant of the Lower Peninsula. The first alleged encounter of the Michigan Dogman occurred in 1887 in Wexford County, when two lumberjacks saw a creature which they described as having a man's body and a dog's head. It has also been spotted many times in the Upper Peninsula by locals. Horses that had died of fright were found nearby, surrounded by dog tracks. Michigander here. The most hilarious thing to me about the Dogman is that he just looks like a bear with mange. In Mom's seaside hometown, there's an abandoned lighthouse that sporadically lights up. There's no electricity, no utilities coming to it as before, when the lighthouse keeper and his wife lived inside. Yet, once in a blue moon, it lights up and no one can figure it out, including officials who inspect it after reports of its illumination have been received. I just imagine some guy occasionally going up there with a big flashlight or something and hanging out for a bit, maybe not even trying to prank anyone, just as like a quiet space. In Northern Virginia there's Bunnyman Bridge. Something about a man escaping his asylum, wearing a bunny suit, killing/eating bunnies raw and hanging them from trees. Then cops pursued him, he got hit by a train, died at the bridge. Now around Halloween he goes around and kills people? I visited it and stole a rock from there in the hopes that he'd come after me if he was real. I watch Supernatural and have salt and holy water, so I assumed I'd be set. Nothing happened. Place wasn't creepy either. You realize that by following tips from a TV show to protect yourself from evil spirits that you're taunting, you're making yourself the guy in an episode of Supernatural who dies, right? Skinwalkers. There was a movie by the same name, but I'm told it's connected in name only. It's a Native American legend that people who sacrifice someone they truly love gain the ability to shapeshift. Something akin to a werewolf, but not necessarily a wolf. That's a bit more than just another urban legend. That goes back a long way, and the Navajo are dead serious about that shit. There is a Ghost Adventures episode about them called Skinwalker Canyon. Some actual weird stuff happened. Not just the usual, insert inaudible noise, what the fuck was that? You usually see on those paranormal shows. Fair, I only heard about it a few years back, so it was new to me, but my Navajo buddy definitely took it serious. They take that shit so seriously you're not even supposed to talk about them. Have a white, non-Native American buddy that was driving me through sand dunes and shit in NM, and he was talking about shapeshifters. I mentioned I'd like to see one, and he stopped the truck and told me to shut the fuck up with the most serious face I've ever seen from him. People take that shit seriously. You don't talk about them because talking about them can draw them to you and gives them power. Out of all paranormal critters, I think they're the legends that creep me out the most. Vampires and zombies are driven by hunger, werewolves by rage, hungry ghosts by revenge, but skinwalkers are driven by actual malice. Well, after Reddit recently talking so much about them, they could be in the Avengers already. I'm easily spooked. So obviously I should watch this at night when I am home alone. Where would a person sacrifice said loved person? I'd never heard mention of it being a specific place. I would imagine it would have to be on a reservation, as I remember my friend saying they can't leave the reservation. I tried looking up more about the more behind it, but I guess most of this stuff gets spread word of mouth. Nothing in this world or the beyond can escape Uncle Sam's grasp. The older generations take them super seriously, and believe that even talking about them gets their attention and gives them more power. So it's not surprising that no one wants to write it down or do interviews on the subject. I once met someone who claims to have seen one when he was a kid. Said it was this old guy sitting on a bench outside of a gas station out in the desert area of Morse. but with a closer look, it looked like someone who had an idea of what a human is supposed to look like but didn't quite get it right. Later he told me he was schizophrenic, which piqued my curiosity more than the skin changer story, so I got more caught up with him explaining what schizophrenia is like. I have an interest in mental disorders and was curious, and it only occurred to me later that he might have just hallucinated the skinwalker guy out of what was just an old dude chilling outside of a gas station. In the town I grew up in NJ, there is a pretty famous one called Devil's Tree. It's in the middle of a field in Martinsville and was historically used to hang people from. It was common for teenagers to drive up there late at night to piss on it, try to cut it down, try to light it on fire, etc. before being chased away by either a passing car or worse, a cop. Basically it was a place to bring chicks and scare them and try to make out with them. It's still there to this day, although they've developed a neighborhood around it. My all-time favorite, as an ex-acid freak, is the urban myth of the guy who took too much acid and believed he was an orange/glass of orange juice and was permanently stuck in that psychotic belief. I have worked on mental health wards with people who are permanently psychotic from taking LSD, and it's basically schizophrenia. They believe people are out to get them, etc., but never encountered someone convinced they are a piece of fruit. How weird. A couple years ago my cousin from North Carolina told me about a guy who thought he was a glass of orange juice that she encountered during a field trip to a mental ward or whatever it was. He would freak out about spilling over. Basically any of the ghost stories surrounding the Baker Mansion. The most well-known ones seem to be about the wedding dress on display there though. It can supposedly be seen in the window sometimes, even though it's kept in a case, and the case itself has been found turned to one side or facing the wall, even though it weighs about 500 pounds and would be heard being moved. It was kind of terrifying to find myself in a room with it suddenly while on a tour, when I was like 9 maybe lol. I grew up hearing tales about the Morris River mystery beast. According to local legend, in the early 80s there was money to be made by raising and selling big cats, tigers, jaguar, etc. According to local police, who were most fond of this legend, a woman was arrested for having tigers, pumas, bobcats, etc., but when they went to round them all up one was missing. The woman insisted that she had a black jaguar. The police found paperwork for it, but no cat. For years people claimed to see a large black animal stalking their livestock or pets, but no cat was ever found. Edit, this was also in NJ. I feel like there is a high number of NJ representation in this thread. The Omega Men of Nyack, New York. They are a group that haunts the woods of upstate New York. They have their meetings in an abandoned military facility. If a missing persons case leads to the woods around Clawsland Mountain, the police just abandon it, knowing that the Omega Men have made another sacrifice to their demon god. There's stories of murders, run-ins with the mafia, supernatural encounters, and all kinds of creepy stuff. There's a Christian college in town. My wife went there and told stories about some of her classmates being secret members of the satanic group. On a hike with a boyfriend, they discovered strange etchings on the rocks and evidence of fires inside the old military base. On some blogs I've found, it's believed that the group was started in the 80s by some do-gooder Christian college kids. Since then, anything weird or spooky in Nyack has been attributed to this benevolent group from years past. I guess 'cause their name was known but their activities were not widely known. The campfire has added a lot to the stories of the Omega Men, but it's all in good fun.